Hey guys, today we're going to finish reupholstering the seats in my 914 LE. In the last episode, we stripped all the old stuff off, and today we're going to put the new seat covers from 914 rubber on. Now the kit comes in three pieces. You've got the bolster and back piece, then the center piece, which includes the headrest, and finally the seat cushion cover. Let's get started. First, we need to put the listing wire through the pockets in the bolster section to prevent the attachment points from ripping out. You can either reuse the wire from your old seats or just straighten out a coat hanger. The first part will be pretty simple, and then you see here that there's a curve, so we're gonna have to bunch things up a little bit, straighten things out, and put a little curve in it so that we can get it to pass. And really what you're doing is you're like piercing through. See, now you can see it's through now. What you're doing is you're piercing through this fold here, but it's important that it be one piece of listing wire rather than just like a piece here and a piece here, because you're going to pull through those barbs right in the corner. That's an important pull spot. So just want to make sure we get it all the way through using one piece, and you can see it's already here. So we've made the turn, and now we just have to get it all the way through. Once you've made the turn, it's pretty easy. You can buy listing wire from an upholstery shop too, but the straightened out coat hanger works just as well. And now, just kind of like center this flap more or less in between the headrest here, and then just like as if you're putting on a jacket, kind of fit this over, and it's going to be all wrinkly at the beginning. So the most important thing though is that this is more centered. We're going to have to play with that as we go. It's going to take a little bit of finagling to get it right. So we got to pull and stretch. Make sure you work these seams out. You don't want to pull the foam off the frame, so it's definitely a lot of putting your hand inside, and we don't know yet if I'm going to need to put extra foam. We can get this to stretch and come around. Also be really careful of the barbs in there, because they're not fun to get your fingers stuck on. Now where we should be here is that these should be somewhat equidistant from the back, and they are. The next thing we're going to want to do is take the center seam here and put it on the center barb down here, so it goes right through the center and just over the listing wire to retain it down. That way we'll know that we're in a good spot in terms of where the angle of the seat goes. You want them both to be in exactly the same place. I'm going to wrestle this a little. It's a lot of moving things on different sides. Sometimes you make a little adjustment on the top to get something to happen on the bottom. And the more you work it, the closer you get. And you can see that the barb here is right in the middle of the seam, and it's just holding it there for now. We may move it a little bit later, but at least it anchors this side. Now what we're going to do is the other side. All right. We have that done. So you can see this is already starting to look good, and we haven't even stretched it around yet. Nice. This is where we might need to add a little bit more foam just to keep things puffed up right. Now the factory put this like, I guess it's like just a little padding to fill out some of the sharper points, like over here in the seat. And I'm just going to use some fiberfill, which will serve the same purpose, but it's not going to be 50 years old. So we'll just do little bits at a time. Just stick it in my finger. The idea is just fill it out. Mostly about where the seam is here. We want this to be nice and round and plump. Now what we can do is we can start working our way up here with the barbs and stretching, putting the listing wire underneath them. You really see the purpose of the listing wire in there. It's under pressure, so you need something that's gonna be able to grab around. This last one's gonna be a bit of a challenge. It always is. Just get a little more of this fiberfill down and ease this turn here. A little in here. Oh, that's the old stuff. All right, that's nice too. Now we'll deal with all of the wrinkles and stuff down there. After nearly 50 years, it's pretty likely you're going to have to add some foam to the lower section to make the upholstery puff up. Unfortunately, the only way to find that out is to install everything first and then look for the wrinkles. Mine definitely needs help. Well, to build this up, I'm going to need to use some foam here. This is just a 1/4 inch open cell foam. And what I'm going to do is just kind of lay it in and then trace it and then cut it so that it's just into the corner here, because this part's fine. I don't need it to go below the barbs. It just needs to go right there. I can also make a relief cut in here. It'll make it easier for me to see where I have to mark the other part of this. It fits perfect in there like that. Spray a little contact cement in here so that it doesn't go anywhere. Now I'm not going to put a lot on here. I just want to hold it because the pressure of the cover is going to hold it down pretty well. Now we'll swing this back around. And now it's on the barbs. I'm gonna work those wrinkles out. The real way we're gonna work these wrinkles out is by pulling down here with contact cement when all is said and done. So this is nice and smooth up to the center line here. That's what these barbs are pulling from the center line. And then when I glue this on the other side, that's what's gonna smooth out the wrinkles from the center line this way. And now I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. So 1/4 inch open cell foam. We'll fit it in here. Just cut it with a really fresh razor blade. We'll just make sure the foam is nice and neat and exactly in the crease, and then we'll bring the rest of the bolster around the back and finesse it. Move it up a little bit, move it down a little bit, stretch it, pull it. Eventually you will get it in exactly the right spot, and your marker is that seam in the curve. Just make sure that that seam is right on the barb and you should be good. You can start thinking about what we're doing here and also start to stretch these down. In this case, I might need even a little bit more padding. You see it's wrinkly up on top there, and it shouldn't be quite so wrinkly. I need a little more. Take this apart. go up to this part here, and it seems it's just really on the top. This is just 1/8 inch. And you can just put it up in here. See that it's getting better already. Not perfect. So let's pull, stretch, wrestle, all of the above. All right, it's already looking better. Just have to work this down. You can see why this listing rod is so important, because if that wasn't there, it would just rip right through the upholstery. So I'm just going to temporarily bend this down a little bit just so it doesn't pop out. Now, yeah, that's looking a lot better. Pull this tight. So we'll use some of the DAP Weldwood on this, and it's going to be glued over here. I'm just going to keep pulling and then it'll set down. While we're waiting for the contact cement to dry, it's a perfect time for me to remind you to subscribe to my channel. These videos take a lot of time to make, and I need your subscription to keep me motivated, so just click the button down there. All right, other side. Then we'll deal with the fronts. Don't forget that these fiberglass shells are nearly half a century old, and sometimes they like to remind you of that. Look what happened. This pop rivet pulled right out of the fiberglass here. You can see it ripped like a little hole. So it's not really repairable, at least not easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a C-track on, and that will actually hold this down in position. Now I'm just cutting the vinyl out from where the seat holes are. All right, no harm, no foul. Everything still looks great. All right, let's work it. You know, I'm going to take some of this fiberfill and just stuff as much as I can in there to give a nice curve, a nice articulation. And that's kind of the way they did it at the factory too. You find like cotton that was kind of stuffed in different spots to make up the difference. And have a nice neat fold in here. Same deal. Pull this down. Nice and tight. No wrinkles. All the way up. And same on the other side. We need to dress this part up. This is the part that's kind of the neck of it. And again, it's just about kind of wrestling things and working the glue a little bit. Maybe putting a little fiberfill in. Okay, now it's time to move on to the center cushion. Let's see if we can fit this into the cover. The challenge is to do it without breaking the foam off this thing, and it's already kind of fragile. Because it's foam, you can definitely squish it a little bit to try to get it in. I think this is the hardest part of the whole job, getting this part in without it breaking and making it look like it's supposed to look. Just gonna thread it through. See. So now that's nice and taut on that side. So here we have our foam. So I could have left this attached to the foam, but I wanted to take it off just to renew the glue. All right, this goes back on. Be careful. You can't do it twice. This is a hog ring plier. It holds this sharp Barbie thing in there, and then you go through the upholstery, squeeze it, and it's attached. So what I'm gonna do is make sure I'm underneath the bar there, and I am. Now we'll set the hog ring into the plier. It holds it kind of snug. Really hard to do these if you don't have this tool. Now we'll come through here. Make sure we're around the wire, which we are. And then hit the hog ring there. So that's pretty good. And we have our inset ready to be put onto the chair. Now, one other thing we need to do for that center section is we need to put some listing wire in so it can also be stretched to the barbs. So what we're gonna do is put it in through here. So I need a piece that's about that long. Because this is folded over here, we're gonna cut a little hole in the side so that we can put the listing wire in. And we're in. All right. Now we have something to grab onto. So the center section here with the listing wire goes under the barbs here, and now I've just got to stretch this middle one over the center, and this will be affixed. You can see the barb sticking through there. And I'll just kind of make sure it's all the way in. And the listing wire is beneath it. And then I'll just bend it down. Okay, so now we have our nice tight bolsters and our center section, and these little wrinkles and stuff will come out. Now we have to wrap around the head area, and we'll get this frame done, then we'll move on to the seat. So we want to make sure that the frame is exactly center of this headrest piece. All right. And I got this to smooth out by putting some of that polyester fiberfill in there to prop up the foam of the cushion. For this detail, you just fold this under a little bit and then tuck it in the back. The original screws that went in here didn't really grab. They were just kind of like sitting in there. So I've got a slightly longer one. And now I'll see if I can, yep, that's going in. And I saved the easiest part for last, the seat cushion. Anytime you get to play with a staple gun, it's a good day. All right, well, here's the seat foam. And if you remember, there's a string that goes through. It holds the foam. There's kind of like one line that goes all the way through. And then it comes up through these holes and grabs the new cover and pulls it down at several spots. So I'm gonna replicate that. All right, new cover, old foam. So first we'll get this old string out. Doesn't really matter how you remove it. Do it probably easier from this side. But the trick is you really want to not mess up the foam. You want to go easy on the foam. Now some people don't even put the string back, but since I'm going for something of a OEM thing, since this is a Bumblebee, I'm going to try to be as faithful as I can. This is the piece that's going to get sewn into that crease. So what we'll do is we'll start to get this in. And this goes pretty simple. This is probably the easiest part of the whole job, is the seat cushion. Again, it's a little bit of wrestling. And some people put this in like a dryer or something to warm it up, let it sit out in the sun for a little while, which is cool, that helps. But the way I'm looking at it, it takes me long enough to work with the material that heating it up isn't going to make all that much of a difference, because really it's just about stretching it over, and once it's over, you're good. And these aren't so tight that you can't just move the foam and stretch it over without it being really, really warm, unlike some other cars. So make sure it's really well into the corners. See, like this is not at all in the corner here. pretty robust, so don't be afraid to pull on it. Okay, now it looks like we're in pretty good shape. We're very much in the ballpark of where that needs to be. So let's get started with the upholstery needle. Wow, that was pretty quick. Now we'll just tie a little knot at the end here. So now I'm gonna go with this upholstery needle in here and then across the top. See that I've gotten this now across the edge here. And now what we'll do is go up through these holes and loop this. You can see I can pull it tight. See how it's kind of going into the seam there. And you can see it on the front that it's conforming. And I'll just do this for the other ones, and then we'll staple it up. All right, I've got the string through, and it's kind of tight here. Probably will need to be a little bit looser. You can see it's pretty tight. I'll loosen that up once we have this on and see how it all sits. So now with this, what we're gonna do is kind of roll it into the foam. It's pretty simple. Now again, requires pulling it tighter. So yeah, it's a little bit too tight on that one. So I'm gonna just loosen it up a little. All right, now it's loosening up. There we go. So that's feeling good there. What I'm gonna do is secure this. Double knot it, triple knot it, and then we'll put some staples. Just make sure that that's sitting right. It looks like it is. Okay, so now we gotta fire up the staple gun. Fun. All right, first I'm gonna tack this down. I'm not gonna load up with staples until I'm sure everything's in the right place. So make sure that that's looking good, and it is. Puffy and straight. Just make sure you get the corners. You don't want to pull too tight, just tight enough to get it to stay. Wasn't a good one. That was. And then as I work my way down here, I'm just gonna pull things a little bit tighter, but not crazy tight. See, this one's already moving a little bit, so I might have to move that one. I'm going on an angle so that any pulling force doesn't just pull on the holes, it also pulls against the staple too. So again, we just get everything set first, then we can always go back. There's nothing like pulling out staples, extra staples. Oh yeah, I want to get this. Same kind of deal here. I'm using about 60 pounds of pressure on this gun, by the way. I want to pull this a little tighter. Yep. And that's why you go slow with the staples. That's better. That's nice. I'll pull this a little bit tighter. Much better. Bring this in here. Do this one for real. Nice. Okay. So we work our way back. Then this has got to get kind of wrapped up a little bit like a Christmas present. Pull this back. First get the back part tight. Again, not too tight. Get this out of the way before I slice it open. So here we are there. So you see now we have these like little puckers. First I'm gonna tighten that nice. Obviously be careful with your fingers. Now that we're close towards the end here, we'll fold this. Yep, missed one. Now we have this side to do. Okay, so that's basically it. Now we'll just add some more staples in here and make sure it's nice and secure. And that's it. That's our seat. Here we go. It goes in like this. There's supposed to be some hardware that goes into this little slot here, but for some reason my seat doesn't have it. Let's see if I can find it from some good Samaritan on 914 World, but anyway, there you have it. So now we have to get this flap, the screws in the right spot for this, and I think the best way to do that is with the trusty needle. And just try to put the needle through the old holes and just make sure that the new position still works, because you definitely do not want to be cutting a hole into this vinyl only to find out that it's in the wrong spot. I'll take my screw and my little grommet and press that through. And we're done. All right, here's the beauty shot. And now, the secret weapon, Upholster's secret weapon, steam. Steam gets wrinkles out upholstery just like it does in your clothes. So you want to put a towel there. Just make sure you're not going to burn anything or get it soaked. So that's it. I now have seats that are worthy of a Bumblebee. It's definitely a DIY project, but do be prepared for a lot of trial and error. It'll take probably 12 to 16 hours if you haven't done it before. Or you could just take it to an upholstery shop and give them like 500 bucks a seat or so to get it done, but where's the fun in that? Hey, if you like my videos, please give them a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks as always to 914 Rubber for sponsoring this build. I put links to everything I used here in the description to make it easier for you to find it. Be safe and enjoy the addiction.